today we're going to talk about as if, So as if. And the idea is that the world is a reflection of your consciousness. So mama may have and papa may have, but God bless the child that has its own. And you have your own. What you own right now is a reflection of your consciousness. And Jesus says it's done unto us as we believe. So you could look around your world right now and say, okay, this is what I've been believing in. I don't see it till I believe it. I see it because I believed in it. So we want to start working with our thoughts. And when you change your thought, you can change your life. When you change your thoughts, you can change your world. So there is the idea in A Course in Miracles that goes with this is the idea of giving. So what we're giving out into the world, not what we're getting, but what we're giving out into the world. And when we change these thoughts about how we're giving out into the world, we strengthen that idea. The ideas that are shared are strengthened. And A Course in Miracles puts it this way. An idea must first belong to you before you give them. If you're to save the world, you first have to accept peace for yourself. But if you will not believe that this is done unto you, until you see the miracle it brings to everyone around you. So all of your good actually supports all of the good for all of the people. The ego will say, no, I got to get my own. Get all I can all I get, and poison the rest so that it doesn't have to be extended. But the Holy Spirit says, as you get your own, you get it through giving, and actually it goes to everyone. It serves everyone everywhere, which is the mathematics of God that we don't always get to hear in the world because the world is so fractured. So if you want to have an easy life, you have to literally stop trying to get an easy life. And you have to start giving that easy life to other people. That's it. It's a simple mathematics. And you can act as if by having it, you can act as if you have it by the way that you give it. You can literally trick yourself into knowing a greater good for yourself simply by turning on your generosity. To act as if your good is at hand, not just for you, but that it serves everyone. And I say all the time, your self-care serves everyone. So it's this beautiful ebb and flow of giving and receiving. A Course in Miracles says, this is really great, protect all the things you value by the act of giving them away. Isn't that great? If you want to keep it, you got to give it away. And if you're sure that, and then you'll be sure that you will never lose it. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours by your giving it away. And yet the value that it takes, or the form that it takes, is not important, because the form will change 1,000,000 times. Don't get hung up on the form. Just give. If you don't think you have finances, you could give out even a little finances, and then not worry about the form, because the content of what you're giving is you're actually giving the idea of generosity. And that you live in a world where we take care of each other. And as you extend that thought out into the world, it will return to you in the form most optimal for you, because you've invested in the content of that idea. So it's the thoughts that we have to work with. Mahatma Gandhi said that, keep your thoughts positive because they bring forth positive behavior, and behavior brings forth positive habits, and habits bring forth positive values, and values bring forth your positive destiny. And so this is what we start with is our thoughts. If you begin with really working with the positivity of your thoughts, then the next step is to move that into the positivity of your word. And then from there you move it into the positivity of your actions, and then your habits, and then your values, and then your behaviors, and then your destiny. So it's this string that goes on. But being positive isn't the hard part. It's the belief in an effortless life that actually is the hard part. It's the belief in the idea that it has to be hard. That's what we have to bust through. And then be consistent with busting through that idea. The consistency and the commitment to allow that effortless life to come through. Because we have been bombarded with the opposite idea. The reason Mahatma Gandhi gave us these suggestions to pour in the constructive opposite is because he knew that we would be bombarded with the opposite idea. He knew that life was going to give us challenges, and he knew that it was going to give us reasons to convince us that life is hard. And some of us are easily convinced. And we go on, sharing that idea with each other. Life is hard. Life is hard. It's just hard. No, you don't understand. It's really hard. And Mahatma Gandhi talked about non-resistance, not the resisting, which is hard, but the non-resistance, which is allowing. We did the story just around this time last year. Pam, remember? She's like the guru of the understanding of this with the surrender experiment. If you want to know more about the concept that we're talking about, dip into the surrender experiment. Because it really does help eradicate the idea of it's hard, and the glorification of I'm a hard worker, it's hard, I'm a hard worker, and I don't know, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. These are all these affirmations. And I know that in some way, that idea of it's hard and I'm a hard worker and I just don't get it, actually supports us in this weird place of ego. That is to say that if we tell each other that it's hard, we prove our purpose and our worth. That's bullshit. Yeah, I did it again. That's just like, why do you have to prove to me that life is hard for you? I'm not invested in it being hard for you. I'm really not invested in that. And sometimes I think we're actually losing tolerance for an easy path, and it's not dramatic enough for us. We want it to be hard, And that sounds crazy that we actually want it to be hard, but we don't have the patience for it to be easy and effortless. We want it done yesterday, and we don't believe that gentleness can get the job done. So we move fast on fire, But the good news is we can choose again. That's the good news. We can choose again. Even if this has always been, the truth of your being, you get to choose again. And we can let go of that story of, this isn't going to work. Now that's the hard part, letting go of the story. Because for many of us, the story is our identity, It's just the way it is. I'm broken, or this is the hard way to go, or life is supposed to be hard and harsh, and that's normal. That's the normal story. I know it's normal because it's the way my dad did it, and the way his dad did it, and the way his dad did it. So, if it was supposed to be easy, it would have been easy, and having my dreams come true, if it was supposed to be easy, they would be done by now. But what if I told you that it's your addiction to the idea of it being hard that actually prevents your dreams from coming true? It's the addiction of thinking this is hard and it's just gonna, take a long time. We need to eradicate that. It's funny, it's really funny because when we do hit that pocket of miracles, that pocket of ease, when things just line up, we go, oh my God, it's a miracle. It was so easy. It was a miracle. Of Course in Miracles says the miracle is the norm. The miracle is the norm. We should all be living on Easy Street. That should be our address. That's the norm. And it's so funny that we've decided we live on the rough side of town, and it's not going to be easy. Miracles, of Course in Miracles says, and if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Course in Miracles, this is my book. I am what it says I am, and I can do what it says I can do. And basically it says that we are each innocent and extensions of God's love. And we're capable of all things. In fact, I was reading it this past week, which was really interesting, and it said, to heal is to make happy. Isn't that great? So when I was reading that, I was like, wow, I've been healing people left and right. And if you've ever made anybody happy, you could say, I'm a healer. And if anybody ever made you happy, you could say, wow, you healed me. I think that's awesome. All of these high-end titles of spiritual, warrior and vixen and healer, and, we all own them. We sit knee to knee and eye to eye here. That lives in all of us. We're responsible for all of that. And it doesn't happen until we claim it. And we say, yeah, this is the truth for me. I am this. And it comes easy to me. Don't ask me why. I don't know. So maybe we're addicted to that life being hard, and maybe we're scared of being that powerful and that purposeful and that peaceful and that faithful. You know, maybe that's just for someone else. Maybe we don't think that that's a possibility for us. And we live in this world that doesn't value the gentle way, and so we're trained to push against the world, and we're trained to think that gentleness is a liability. You know, don't leave your door open. You know, gentleness will leave us exposed. So we're told to toughen up, kid. You know, get through it. Life is hard. Just do it. And if you've been told this and sold this, and if you've been working to uphold it, that life is hard, you're going to feel exhausted and sideways. And then you're going to start to think, well, that's just the way it is. And you'll fall asleep, and you'll start to point at the other guy and say, you know, why is it so easy for him, you know? And instead of moving to the next right step and saying and claiming it's easy for me as well, I just didn't give myself the permission to think that thought for myself. I was thinking about you, Letty. I sat across the table from her this past week, and she told me this thing that she'd been outside of her awareness or possibility for herself. And she's like, I am now claiming that for myself. And I was like, yes, claim it, lady. Because when you claim it for yourself, you claim it for everyone. But you know, it's okay that we have these blind spots. When we sit in these circles, we get to awaken to our blind spots and say, wow, I could have an even greater idea of myself. And the thing is that consciousness never stops. So as great as your consciousness is right now, it continues to expand forever and ever and ever. So we're never going to be done with shedding and awakening, you know, and that's the good news. But the idea is that we need to start with ourselves. To start with, as Course in Miracles says, your strength lies in your gentleness. So we get to be gentle with ourselves. You know, because as soon as we start to say, gosh, I'm no good, I'm never going to get anywhere, or it's hard, and then we meet that with, yeah, and you know, all of the other things that prevent us from moving forward. Like, it's just like we open the door to ego, and it just jumps on in any corner that it can, you know? And so we have to start going, whoa, you know, let's be gentle. How can we really master gentleness for ourselves? No one's harder on you than yourself. And that harsh agreement that we put ourselves through, that literally takes our vibration down. And when we're talking about consciousness, we're talking about vibration. I know that sounds woo-woo, but that's what it is, you know? I mean, when we think about vibration, you might want to think about the fact that, and it seems like, you know, out there and unknown, but, you know, we have radio stations where you can turn on the radio and pick up a vibration and have this whole, maybe even a Christian radio station come through. And then you could turn it and you could have rock and roll, and then you could turn it and you could have something else. It's the same for us. We get to decide what level we're vibrating on and what we want to feed out into the world and have feed us. So it's not, you know, scientifically, it's not that woo-woo. So, I'm glad I broke that down for you, aren't you? But I like to say, if you know, if you don't like the station, you can change the channel. But here's the thing, you're the channel. So you got to change what you're channeling out into the world. You have to change those thoughts that you're channeling. And because the world will take its cue from you and how you treat yourself. The world will take its cue from you and how you treat yourself. So how are you treating yourself? Are you being kind and gentle to yourself? You know, you can do all that work of visualization and prayer, and we're doing the prayer workshop today, and you can do your sacred service and your affirmations. But if you don't really believe that you're worthy, none of that's going to pan out at all. You know, as hard as you work on all of those things, no one's going to be convinced until you convince yourself. And convincing ourselves is where we get to start. So you want to go to that area of your life where you find that you're not in ease, where it's not easy. And I want to say, it's funny to me that some people think that they need to have problems so they can fit in. You know, you want to go to those places where you think you have problems and you go, what do I get from this? Is this just so I can like be around my tribe who also has problems? Like maybe I need a new tribe? Because there's actually people who move through life with no problems. We have some of them in our community that I know of. And so if it can be true for one, it can be true for all of us. So imagine having all of your needs met and doing it with ease, and then also having all of your friends having their needs met and doing it with ease. You know, and having no tolerance for somebody saying it's hard. That's not a done. So, the ego says, well, that would be boring if we had no problems. What would we talk about? Well, I'll tell you, maybe we would stop talking, we would just start laughing and eating and kissing and using our mouth for other things. Maybe talking isn't the most impressive thing we could do with our mouths, especially if we're talking shit. Imagine that if we just stood around and laughed and kissed each other and ate. I love that idea. So now most of us have manifested a pretty good life here. We're not too far from that. We sit in circles sometimes where we just laugh and kiss and make out and eat food. Sometimes that actually happens in our life. That's pretty awesome. So congratulations, We've manifested that degree of happiness, of health. We're splashing ourselves with Joe Malone. We're drinking down our designer coffees. Life is good. We're doing good work in the world, We've accepted the effortless ease in some areas of our life. Now the idea is we can accept it in all of our lives. In all areas of our lives, we could have that. If you can manifest it in one area, you can have it in all areas. So you want to start to think about extending that consciousness to those places where you've been committed to saying, no, but except for here, it has to be hard. Because I can't be that audacious. Kathy has no problem with being completely audacious all the time. So if she can do it, we can do it. So yeah, because some of us still have a little problem here or there. So imagine if having those problems, if having those thoughts, those stagnations, those little riddles, those worries, imagine if you could just say to yourself, no, I'm done with that. I no longer am a person who has to have little issues and little problems. Imagine if you were wrong about having to be addicted to it being hard. And here's the news. The reason you don't live on Easy Street in those specific areas is because you don't feel comfortable claiming it as your residence. Or maybe you just never saw anybody model it for you. If it's always been modeled that it's hard, we're going to be more likely to cook that same meal up again and again and again. I know for some of us the idea, especially in the area where we commit to struggling, is that it seems almost inconceivable that we should choose again. And when somebody brings that idea up of you could choose again, we're like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? You started speaking Spanish to me. I don't even understand what you're saying. What do you mean I can give up my struggle? I don't have to be a victim? So, we get addicted to the idea of swimming upstream with these salmons that are screaming, it's hard, and we get so sucked up in that, in that opposite flow, in that negative flow. We get so sucked into it, it makes us feel important and a part of, that the idea of jumping off that track and going with the flow, it seems like, wow, I could do that? I could just let go and go with the flow? It seems like, that would be impossible. And if things that seem impossible, they will remain impossible. And the miracle will seem like a magical moment that just happened at some special time and place, and I just got lucky. But lucky people don't get lucky, They cultivate love and the expansion of consciousness. That's how they do it. It's not luck. So, a lot of us know about that story of Roger Bannister, who for all these years, all of us said, the mile is going to take 4 minutes to run. That's the way it is. Because it's too hard to run any faster. And not only is it too hard to run any faster, but you know what? There was this thought at that time that if we ran faster, what would happen? We would die. That's what it was. It would be fatal. That'll keep you in your comfort zone. So Roger Bannister said, I'm going to do this, but I'm not just going to do it. I'm going to do it to prove that not I can, but we can. And as soon as he did it, after all those years of not being able to pass that, miracle mile, which they called it the miracle mile that he ran, you know how many days he held the record for? 46 days. 46 days, man! Can you imagine? He finally gets there and some other guy comes flying by him a second faster. Less than a second faster. What was his name? Landy was his name. Isn't that funny, though? But Landy couldn't have done it, if Bannister didn't do it. It became an idea in consciousness. Before that, it wasn't available. It was inconceivable. And if we can't conceive in it, if we can't believe in it, we're not going to experience it. So I think that's really interesting. Okay, and I want to tell you something else about sharing ideas. The reason that we do it for everyone. So there's this other thing, this other big blue book that some of us follow. And in the beginning, there's this thing called the Doctor's Opinion. It's the 12-step book. And he wrote this back in the 1930s. And he said, I have this client of mine who's hopeless. He can't get there. He's hopeless. This is what he says about him. And but he's been doing this thing. He's had like 3 sessions, and he came to me and he's found these tools and technologies that have helped him to stay sober. And he's telling me that the reason that it's helped him to stay sober is that he's sharing it with other men and women, and that's how he maintains it for himself. And he tells these other men and women who are struggling with alcoholism that the only way these tools will work for them is if they also share it with other men and women, because the idea is being strengthened. So the idea of the 4-minute mile, the miracle mile, was strengthened in our consciousness, and we began to know, oh, he could do it, then 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 he could do it. So the way that we expand our consciousness is by continuing to share that truth with other people. By when someone says it's hard, you can reply to, you got this. MNFer, I wanted to say. There's children in the house. And I'm trying to clean up my ways. I have a curse word for Christmas, from the seasonal curse word, which is cranberry sauce. I like that. All right, so today we're asking to be gentle, So think about those places where you're not being gentle with yourself. Because when you're trying to get that thing and you're not being gentle, you're going to run toward it with your hair on fire and say, I got to get this, I got to get this, I got to get this, right? And it's going to continue to evade you. But if you instead work on the consciousness of, I have this, I am this. I have this, I am this. Let me be still and awaken within myself the idea of this truth within me and focus on it. Then the thing that you're looking for is going to be able to actually be held in your consciousness. Your consciousness is going to go out and expand so that it can be included in your awareness and in your vibration. And I think that's really lovely to remember, that it's through gentleness that we experience these things. Okay, so here's the thing to remember about the Miracle Mile. The Miracle Mile didn't get any easier. It was our thought about the Miracle Mile that changed. Isn't that incredible? It didn't get any easier. So just think of all those places that you're saying, this is hard. Could I just change my thought around it? And just take a breath there for a minute and imagine as if it were easy? And then from that place, I promise you, the world will whisper solutions for you. And they'll come in ways that you know are not authored by you. And that's audacious. To be able to cultivate a consciousness and a conscious posse of spirit that surrounds you and supports you and delights in you. Like, why wouldn't you have a God like that? If you knew you had a friend who had the map to everything and held you as the highest and most important thing on its agenda list, why wouldn't you check in with them? Why wouldn't you? It's freeing. That's an inside joke about a man who likes to take all his clothes off when he goes to the bathroom. And he'd say, why wouldn't you? It's freeing. I no longer doubt that. So as surely as there is a consciousness of God that is invested in your effortless ease, you know, I am invested in your effortless ease. I want a community where these values, these ideas of ease and grace are the norm. Why? Why do I want that? Because I want it for myself, and I can't have it for myself if I don't extend it to you. In A Course in Miracles, there's a section, oh wait, I read that. That is odd that that's there. So this is, oh, that's because my pages are all wrong. That's why. Let me see. Is there anything? I don't think I missed anything here. But I just want to read this one part to you to contemplate, because this is from A Course in Miracles, and I think it's so beautiful. Well, let me go through this. There's no sense of hurry in peace. And gentleness. Gentleness comes from honoring gentleness. In a gentle way, you can shake up the world, says Mahatma Gandhi. In a gentle way. Do you know what he did, Mahatma Gandhi? It's incredible. You know, and we've seen other people use that technology since of non-resistance, you know, to awaken each other. It's incredible. If you can use it one way, you can use it every way. God is nothing if God is not gentle. Look at the gentle way that the flowers bloom and the sun rises. You know, it doesn't rush, it doesn't worry, it doesn't scurry, it doesn't say, I gotta go get a book on how to rise. You know? So that idea that you're preordained to do, that way that you're preordained to rise, it's already the natural instinct within you to do that. And you're going to do it. You are going to do it. You're going to fulfill your wildest dreams. You're going to see miracles. If you're hanging out in this community, you cannot but do it. This is like spiritual fertilizer for your dreams, you know? And where things happen, if you haven't noticed, if you've been here a little while, your life starts to get bright and shiny and doors open where you thought were walls, you know? And you're going to see it made manifest, whether it's a new job or a more vital, healthy experience of yourself, or a new home or career. And we're going to break those old ideas that you thought were the thing that had to define you. And you're going to see the impossible become possible. And when you go with God, it might seem like you're going to take the long road, or you can take the short road or the slow path, and you'll go, wow, this doesn't seem right. Be hanging out on Sunday morning when I should be doing my to-do list or whatever. But you'll get there faster if you place it in God's hands. So today's the day that you get to claim that it's possible for you, you know? And imagine your dreams coming true, and imagine reaching for your goals, and imagine the most effortless manifestations of your most cherished life, and imagine it being easy, and imagine feeling awesome and invigorated and inspired and enjoy in every area of your life. And imagine that it comes with ease, and surrender all the needs that it needs to be hard, and just gently row your boat towards your desired outcome. And A Course in Miracles says, who could feel fear in such a world as this? If you cultivate that world of peace and possibility, who could feel fear in a world such as this? It welcomes you. It rejoices that you came. It sings your praises, and it keeps you safe from every form of danger and pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. You know, it knows you're not designed to stay here forever. But it welcomes you a warm and welcomed home to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day, watches you through the night like a silent guardian of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you. If you don't know what the word salvation means, or if it sounds like a weird word, it just means peace. It sees peace in you. And it protects the light in you which sees its own, and it offers you its flowers and its snow and thankfulness for your benevolence. Do your best to move through the world as if you believe that that is true, that the world is bending toward you and supporting you. Do your best to believe in a world where everything is for you and nothing is against you. Not just for yourself, but for everyone. And if you believe in this, you will achieve it, you will experience it, and you will invest in it. Not just for yourself, but for everyone. And that's what we're doing here. And that's the word. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want more tips and tools on how to be a spiritual vixen, go on over to my website, MaureenMuldoon.com, and you can sign up for my love notes. Until then, I'm Maureen Muldoon, the spiritual vixen, reminding you to love more, fear less, and don't forget to laugh.